we've heard quite a lot about the First Lady's office. And I can sit here and boldly say that that woman I know will not steal a penny. What was this corruption claim about? Hands off our girls. She's a different type of woman, many would say. You can like her or hate her for what is. But did she use the money? Let Sierra Leoneans ask that question. For the purpose for which it was meant.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. To the bell option, press this one with all. E don done. E no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for what you don help we for share this program. Yeah! God bless you.
And I did say we have a very important guest this morning, and believe me, I will not let you down. It's about time we introduce our guest for today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone, and it is no other person than the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Julius Maada Bio. Good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure, and thank you for honoring our invitation. As President, how does it feel to be the President of Sierra Leone? Is it everything you expected it to be, or is it more stressful than you expected it to be?
It's always stressful, but I've been here before, as you know, so I did expect it to be stressful. And what makes it stressful is the fact that in other parts of the world where the state has been built, the systems are there. When you take over as leader, you run a system that is already there. Maybe some tweaking, but you really run a system that is there already. Here, you are building a system and using it at the same time. So if there is any mistake anywhere, then there is a problem. So that makes it stressful, and of course resources and several other issues, but it is indeed a hard job.
And what would you say is perhaps the most difficult part about carrying this title, about handling this office?
National issues, I normally say, are not simplistic at all. Everything that comes to your desk has several dimensions: regional, ethnic, religious, and so on and so forth. So you have to be able to have the time to look at all of those dimensions when you make a decision. If you don't, you always run into problems. So the ability to look at all dimensions of any problem or issue that comes to you has to be there. Then there is also a problem of resources. Crewman say, "Trucky one box, but the hand short." I want to fix all the roads. I want to fix all the schools. I want to fix all the hospitals. When you have those intentions, but you don't have the means, and you have to generate the means, you have to generate the resources from within the country, and then you are hit by something like Corona, it throws spanners into the whole work. And that is what makes because we are never sure where you're going.
Yeah, and just before you came in, we were just looking at the clip from the presidential debate where you were talking about the plans you had to improve or to promote developments in Sierra Leone. And one of the key areas you focused on was the economy, and you talked about revenue mobilization and how we can raise more revenue to push development in the country. Now, where do you think we are on that in terms of revamping the economy?
Well, all around the world, every nation is grappling with their economies. As you know, COVID is not an excuse, but it's a reality. We have to fight to save lives, but also livelihoods. And in the process, quite a lot has changed. Economies have contracted by 2 to 3%, depending on where you are. So it's an extremely difficult project. We have done quite a lot to put our monies together using the single treasury account. Several reforms, and what we have been able to do, even with our flagship program, we generated the funds from within the country. When we started the free quality education, we did not take a cent, or nor did we get any cent from anybody in any organizations around the world. But within 4 months, we were able to launch a national program with significant impact on people. We were able to raise the money because we improved on our intake of revenue from around the country and all other sources. So the economy is definitely not where we want it to be, but there has been a lot of progress. We have been paying all employees of the state. We have been taking care of education. For a lot of people, it was a far-fetched dream at the time when I spoke about it, and many were wondering where we have the funds to take care of 2.5 million kids around this country. That is what I do on a monthly basis. I pay for their fees, I buy books for them, I buy learning materials for them. In some districts, in fact, we are providing food for them. We pay for their transition exams, MPSC, Becker, and WAS. That is no mean feat. That means we are generating enough money to be able to take care of all of those, in addition to running other institutions of the state.
Right, but citizens are still concerned about, what we call the bread and butter issues. I mean, the everyday Sierra Leonean lives on $1 or less per day, and we see increase in prices of goods and commodities. And the general opinion is that things are hard. I mean, just take a look at the price of fuel, for instance. It just shot up a few weeks ago, or close to a month ago. So what do you say to that?
Well, I would just say that we have to expect that, because we are so interconnected. We don't produce fear. We don't produce petroleum as yet. We may have it, and we are exploring means to see how we can get that and join other nations that are producing. But for those things that we cannot produce, we have to buy. And it is those people who set their price. So it is difficult for me to promise anybody that we can take on the burden. We have been doing it. It's extremely tough, because that means government has to pay for everybody that is using petrol, diesel, and on other sources of power. So that is one. In terms of the other issue, bread and butter, we normally say, it doesn't change overnight. To build a nation means you have to build a solid foundation for that nation. I've seen the range of problems, and when I was coming, I did say, why will we keep the economy alive and make sure that we reduce the burden? We make sure we lay a solid foundation. And that is why we spoke extensively about human capital development and education in particular, because in history, we have known that no nation has surged forward in development and taken its people out of poverty without quality education.
Now, as you mentioned, quality education, this is something you're very passionate about, and we saw that within the first year of your presidency, you implemented some reforms in the education sector. Now, are you satisfied with where the free quality education scheme is at right at this point?
Not at all. It's a project, it's in progress. We have only started. Several challenges have come up once we started. I mean, we normally talk about the buy-in of society into what we are doing. Free quality education is not about me. It's about the future of this country. And until and unless all of us take it seriously and believe that we can only manage today, but the future should be better. If the future should be better, we have to be sitting on a solid foundation, and education, quality education, fit for purpose for the 21st century is the only way out. So when I decided that I should pay as a government for every kid in this country, it is because I know that it's going to be hard, because we are taking monies from other sectors to make sure that our kids go to school. Definitely it's going to be hard, but it is the best investment. Every human being needs that investment to be fit for purpose in the 21st century. And that is why I made that deliberate decision that things may be hard. It may look impossible. It is extremely difficult. But every child must have an opportunity to go to school in this country, irrespective of their ethnicity, gender, or location. So kids all over this country now are going to school. And over about 2.5 million kids are under this program. And that spreads right across. But there are additional problems to that. In some areas, they don't even have enough food. So kids go to school without food. We have intervened in that area. Kids prepare for exams. Their parents cannot pay for them. We are paying for transition exams, Becker, MPSC, Becker, and WAS. And a lot of other issues, just so that nobody has an excuse to not go to school.
Yes, we've seen that within the Ministry of Basic and Senior Education, you know, with the radical inclusion, the lifting of the ban against pregnant girls attending schools, and your government is known to have focused on, you know, the issue of sexual and gender-based violence, which is one factor that prevents girls from attaining education. Now, you declared rape a national emergency, and you made several promises, including the review of the law, which has been achieved, the Sexual Offences Act, the setting up of a court specifically to look into issues of sexual and gender-based violence. But there are other pending issues which are said to be vital if we are to handle rape as a national emergency. For instance, the need of a forensic lab and trained police officers and investigators to handle such matters. Now, how far are we on that?
Earlier on, you asked what is the difficult part of my job, and that is, I stated clearly that resources is one. And the only reason we don't have a forensic lab here now is because they are quite expensive per piece, and we have to have these in all the districts and even maybe below for us to be able to effectively, and that is really the part of it where you talk about prosecution. But what I want us to do as a country is to prevent rape in the first place, so that we don't even have to use the kits to check the forensic lab. We can if we want to, and that is what I want to inspire into the people of this nation.
And how do you propose that can be done, the prevention of rape?
It's a societal problem. We have to let people know that you destroy these little kids, especially the girls who, women who constitute more than 50% of the nation. And I have been vindicated by the fact that the results in the recent years, especially for transition exams at the MPSC and the Becker level, the girls have been doing extremely well. This is telling basically hands off the girls, hands off the little girls. Allow them, give them the opportunity to learn, and they will be a productive part of the society. If you keep or just not pay attention to more than 50% of your population, you don't give them the opportunity, the capacity to learn, then we should not be even talking about free quality education, because they need protective environments to grow up and to be able to go to school and be like us, if not more than us. So I'm very happy with the performance of the girls, and we want to inspire that into society. Every parent, every teacher, every adult, every Sierra Leonean should make an effort to protect the girls. They are human beings. In some instances, they are destroying these girls before even they are 5 or 10. That is crime against humanity.
As we talk about girls and women's empowerment and women's rights as well, would you say your government has done a great deal in terms of empowering women or appointing women into positions which are usually not held by women?
Well, everything I'm doing is work in progress. We have some women. I was happy that the clip that was the program that was on, I saw most of our women, you know, in government, and we continue to do that. Mine is a work in progress. We are making sure that the women are part of our governance system, and that's why we talk about inclusive development, and that is why even the First Lady has been involved with this program, Hands Off Our Girls, because if you want them to be in the public space, as we want them, you have to capacitate them. You have to make sure they also have, if not more, of the type of education that makes it possible for men to come out there. They should have the confidence. So we have to first develop them. So the issues about even sanitary pads, keeping some of the guys out of school for nearly 3 months of the year, these are all efforts. It is always good to look at the fundamental causes of challenges we face at the national level rather than just looking at the symptoms. Some people say, oh, employ more women. That is good. But you and I know that you face challenges, even in politics. A lot of them lack the confidence because they do not have the sort of required level of education, exposure, and so on and so forth. There are a lot. But when you really talk about numbers, a lot of them, we need to provide them the support to be as confident as men are to come out.
All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock in our studios now. Usually we would go for a summary of the news, but because we have this very important guest and we know he's a very busy man, we'll just try to move along with the program and let him go as soon as we can. Now, President Bio, one of the issues you championed as well during your campaign was the issue of corruption. And over the past, I would say, 3 years, we've seen several cases coming up with the Anti-Corruption Commission. We've seen a review of the Anti-Corruption Act to enable them to investigate and also prosecute. Now, are you satisfied with the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone?
No. This is a work in progress, and we are just at the beginning. Corruption had become a culture, a way of life. It was done with impunity. It became fashionable. To get rid of a culture means we have to sustain the fight against corruption. We have just started. I normally say it's a fight we must fight as a nation, and it's a fight we must win as a nation. It is not, I am leading the fight. But am I satisfied? No, a lot needs to be done. And we cannot just leave it to the ACC. You cannot just leave it to government. What had become a culture, to get rid of it means we have to re-examine ourselves as a nation, as a people, and say, this is bad for our development. We all talk about development every day. But if this is a binding constraint, corruption, then we should treat it like that. And to say that I'm happy, no. I'm happy with the start. But we need a lot of progress. We need to make progress on this issue to be able to say that, yes, we have a society where there is some amount of fear. It's no longer fashionable to be termed corrupt. And fortunately for us, others who are observing our political space have actually validated our scheme of fighting corruption. The MCC, you know, when we came in 2018, we were at a meager 49%. Now we are above 79 in the last 2 years. That is why, in fact, we got the MCC compact. So there's a lot of progress, but am I happy? No, it's a work in progress, and we need to do more. And I invite everybody, not just the ACC, to be a part of this fight.
And you mentioned these external observers who are commending us for the fight against corruption, but we also see us examining ourselves internally. We've seen corruption perception surveys, we've seen reports of the audit service. Firstly, do you think the audit service is critical in the fight against corruption? What's your opinion?
Sure. It's an effective tool. We should use it all the time. It should be part of the tools we have to control corruption in this country. Others have their own criteria and motives. Why I cited the MCC, because it is from far away in this country. It doesn't have the political taint. It is looking at good governance and our efforts to fight corruption. To say there's no corruption, I'll be lying to you. But are we making effort to fight it? That is what we've been graded for. And that fight goes on in other countries, although at different intensities. Because the human being is naturally selfish. We want everything for ourselves. So there has to be consistency, we have to persevere, we have to make the fight against corruption also a culture, and it should have the buy-in of everybody.
So then what do you say to some of your critics who say, you know, you've been awfully silent about issues of corruption within your government? I mean, as a member of the opposition, the SLPP was very loud about condemning corruption. So you have a lot of people now on your back saying you're not as loud as you were on the issue of corruption.
I've even heard people saying that I support people who have been accused of corruption. But accusations don't mean anything. Even with the commissions of inquiry, there is a process to ascertain that the claims made are legitimate before you take action. To say that the president's office or this person or that person is corrupt doesn't mean that that person is corrupt. It's very easy to say. I can say it, and I can accuse everybody else in the world of being corrupt today. It's very easy. But provide the facts. And then the ACC is there, then I can take action. But without that, just say that the president's office is corrupt. For instance, we've heard quite a lot about the First Lady's office. And I can sit here and boldly say that that woman I know will not steal a penny. What was this corruption claim about? Hands off our girls. She's a different type of woman, many would say. You can like her or hate her for what is. But did she use the money? Let Sierra Leoneans ask that question. For the purpose for which it was meant. The program, Hands Off Our Girls, is more popular than many national programs we have in this country before today. She took it to every corner to make sure that we don't leave the women folk behind, or that our commitment to inclusive government development is actually being felt. So if the money was allocated the right way, the money was used for the purpose for which it was meant, it may be huge. And like I said before, national issues are never simplistic, and they are never cheap. So it has been ascertained that the money was got in the right way, the money was used for the right purpose, it's been audited. Why do I have to make a statement about that? One thing I do in the public space is to make sure that I don't give credence or respond to frivolous claims that are politically motivated. When you want me to respond, make sure it is legitimate concern.
Now, if the public is asking for an investigation in such matters, will you openly support such matters to be investigated?
Why not? The ACC is looking into that. They will be coming up with their report. That much I know. And I'm happy that they do that and come out with their report.
And just in relation to that, when you assumed office, you appointed a 12-man government transition team to take stock of what the then All People's Congress administration was leaving behind. And they put together a report which then led to the formation of the commissions of inquiry. Now, at the end of your first 5-year term, would you support such a process for your administration, and do you encourage that process to go on to continue as I would say a culture now in Sierra Leone's politics and governance?
If any other government comes to be after I would have left, it is a decision entirely left to that government to take. They don't even need my consent. What I saw, I needed to investigate. And we are still on the investigation because of the same good governance, respect for the rule of law. We cannot just say, no, the former government was corrupt, and then take action. As long as the process is, we are still going through that process to ascertain that whosoever is found wanting is actually a culprit and not by my own desire. That is why some of those who want to know, oh, why it's not out, it's because our systems, like I said, even when they are there, they are not the best in the world. And we want to make sure that we follow the rule of law. That's it.
Right, and one of the promises you delivered on somewhat swiftly was the repeal of Part 5 of the Public Order Act, which you've been commended for, because this is a process that had started some 50 years ago. Campaigners, human rights defenders have been calling for the repeal of that law. Now, why was that important to you?
It's one of those things I promised, and it was within my reach. I can get that out of the law books, of course, albeit with a lot of hassle with Parliament, with other interested groups, and genuine individuals who thought that it could open the floodgate, for journalists to just bash at them and do a lot of wrong things. But I believe that we have put in there mechanisms to make sure that journalists are free to do what they should do in their profession, and that individuals are also protected. It's a promise I made, and it's a promise I could keep very easily because it was within my means. I didn't have to spend like the other instances we are talking about. This means goodwill, and of course the Minister of Information played a very critical role, and we got Parliament to pass it.
While you're being commended for that, there's also now the cybercrime bill, which is on the table, and a lot of professionals have criticized some of the provisions in that bill, saying that it is just another Part 5 of the Public Order Act. Now, have you had a look at the bill? What's your opinion on that?
That is strange. Of course, bills, especially dealing with rights of people, are always viewed suspiciously at any one time. But we know that we are living in a totally different world today, and that cybercrime is rife. We should protect the government. We should protect everybody. It is up for discussion. We should discuss it, but we should recognize that cyber is the place that is dominant today in the world. And therefore, we must find a way to regulate it. We all know how it has damaged, how it has caused the problems and challenges for different governments around the world, where people's rights have been trampled upon using that. We all saw how in the cyberspace, even one of the most prominent people in the world, they had to remove his Twitter handle just to make sure that he doesn't cause, So to say that trying to regulate that for the sake of, for the protection of rights is a way to replace the other bill, I think it's not correct.
Right, but even the Ministry of Information has gone back on its steps to say, okay, we'll have a look at some of the provisions on the bill. So do you trust that the ministry, are you saying you trust that the Information Ministry would do its job to protect the rights of citizens?
We are all citizens at one time or the other. I still remain a citizen of Sierra Leone. I have to make sure in or out of government that I'm protected.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. To the bell option, press this one with all. E don done. E no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for what you don help we for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.
Paths to true peace and national cohesion is inclusive governance, wherein you have people of all tribes coming from different regions in the country, part and parcel of the governance system. And your critics say you have fallen short of that by the appointment of your cabinet and other heads of ministries, departments and agencies. So what do you say to that?
Well, as a government, we are inclusive. What I try to do, because at the end of the day, I have to give an account of my stewardship to this nation. Why I look for people of competence that I know with proven records. I may be wrong, but am I discriminating against any group? No. But you also know that around the world, government leadership, we always choose people they know. I have to know you, your capacity to deliver, your work ethics, and then say, take this responsibility. I'm not discriminating against anyone, well, any political party or region or tribe. I take, because I have to give responsibility. Nobody's going to say, how inclusive. We are going to vote for him because he had a very inclusive government. They are going to say, did he deliver on his promises? And I need a team that will deliver on my promise. That's the only thing. If you are from any part of this country, if you show or have shown the ability, you have worked with me for me to know you enough, I will not hesitate. I don't pick and choose. Every Sierra Leonean is a Sierra Leonean.
Right, and one of the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation report is to have a more cohesive constitution, a constitution that breeds peace and national cohesion. Now, how far are we on the constitutional review? Are we working towards that as a nation?
I must confess that we've had some delay in that regard, but we are making, it's now at an advanced stage. We are making effort to do that. And one of my propositions has been proportional representation. Of course, that is being hotly debated again. But that proposition was premised on the fact that we are too polarized in this country along two political parties. And if people can now contest elections based on who they are, their track record, rather than what color they carry, I think that is better.
Is that the motive behind the new, I would say, proposition for local council elections to be non-partisan?
That is my motive. And that is what I want us all to understand.
But you have a lot of political parties who are criticizing that proposition and saying that it is unconstitutional. What do you say to that?
That is democracy. They have a right to their opinion, and I will not impose it. I have to get their buy-in into that. And for us all to recognize that we talk about violence, we talk about national cohesion, that is my prescription. If you and I have to contest an election and we don't go there with colors, they know what you have done in this society before, they know that you're a person of your word, and I know that I'm a liar, they vote for you, and not because I carry this particular color, they vote for me. And so the structures, the violent structures that we normally say are behind these parties are not going to be there for you. You'll have supporters because they know she is going to deliver.
So are you going to try to convince these political parties to buy into this idea?
That is democracy, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Well, as we try to round up the conversation here and let you get on to running the country, reviewing your 3 years in office, is there anything you wish you had done differently, maybe in the past 3 years?
It's too early to tell, because like I said, everything is work in progress. When I would have come to the end, I think I'll be in position to answer that more appropriately. But for now, this is work in progress. It is too early to determine what I could have done differently. I will pursue the policies of inclusion, of inclusive development, of making sure that everybody has the opportunity to go to school, and that we live in a free society where people can express their opinion, and so on and so forth. So far, no.
Right. People were expecting that, being a former military man yourself, that when you come into office, we would see a lot more involvement of yourself into the affairs of the ministry, their remunerations and things like that. Now, is anything happening in the background that perhaps the public is not aware of?
Well, let's not forget that the military as an institution is also part of the state. When you asked me the very first question, one of the constraints I told you about was resources. To maintain a military institution, it's the most expensive. If I told you today I wanted to revamp, it will go into billions of dollars. The state of our people in the military is not the best. Accommodation is not good. Conditions of service are not good. And there's nothing to actually say right home about as far as they're concerned. But I'm getting them to understand that it takes time. I cannot put their salaries up while we have teachers, judges, lawyers, other people, civil servants, when the military's pay is way up there. I don't even have it. So they are a part of this country. I make them understand that we have to gradually go towards that. Like in Wilberforce, we've started putting accommodation. Many are wondering why I cannot do it in all the barracks. It's not possible. For over 50 years, it was neglected. When you begin, it has to be a gradual process. That is my home. And we cannot leave them behind, but we have to make sure we do it not at the detriment of the state, but in consonance with our development program, and they will be a part of the development.
And on the area of health, now more than ever, we've seen global hands-on effect to tackle COVID-19, and Sierra Leone has done not too badly in terms of our response to COVID-19. I mean, compared to the rest of the world, we have a very low number of deaths and even number of infected persons. So what is your opinion on that, and how do you think we can further improve our health sector to handle such pandemics?
Well, Sierra Leone has done not too badly. I quote you. Sierra Leone has done extremely well. We are rated even above the United States of America in terms of our mechanism to control the spread of corona. We have been cited severally in terms of the systems we put in place, and of course we are taking advantage of our foreknowledge. We had had Ebola before, and we still had people in the system, and we had structures that we were able to activate. We did not wait for it to land here. We went into a preventive mood, and that mood was changed to active surveillance and management of cases. So before Corona got here, we were very much prepared. We were not caught flat-footed like Ebola caught this country. So we have done extremely well. We want to strengthen, of course, again, resource constraint, our health system. So as we phase out the structures for Corona, we want to make sure that we are always ready, because pandemics are likely going to be part of our future as a world. And just before a few weeks ago, because we had the incident of Ebola, again, the resurgence of Ebola in Guinea. And recently, 2 days ago, I was informed that there were new cases. In Guinea too, they have done reasonably well in terms of containing the situation. They did not allow it to spread across borders as it did the last time. So now we have a clear understanding and expertise. We have developed those expertise. We have done extremely, our systems at the airport, a lot of people complain about them in terms of the cost and everything, but it's much better, comparatively speaking. So when we are together as a nation, we can do great things, and that is what I want to inspire, to be together always.
All right, and let me quote you now, inspiring us to be together always. What are your goals for this new year in your administration for 2021 and onwards, and how do you think Sierra Leoneans can contribute to your work and moving the nation forward?
A lot of ways Sierra Leoneans can contribute. I want to consolidate and strengthen the various policies, programs and projects that I've started already, because they are all heading for a new direction. And we have a national development plan that is aligned with what we want to do, and also the sustainable development goals. So we should continue in that direction. Do I want to? Yes, Sierra Leoneans should be part of it, because I cannot achieve anything without the buy-in and support of all Sierra Leoneans. For instance, talking about corruption. The ACC is not in every room in this country, every office, to know what is happening. To be corrupt, it takes two to tango. Help us. Don't just make claims. Don't make political or frivolous accusations and thinking that you want to smear. I know when I leave, I am going to be investigated. But don't make us look as if we are corrupt because we are doing the right thing. By the way, coming here, I was listening to another radio station, 98, and they said I've been defending people who are corrupt. I don't remember defending anybody, but I say, don't say he or she is corrupt. Prove he or she is corrupt and see what I do. That is the most important thing. So I want Sierra Leoneans to believe that we are leading. I am leading in the right direction. We have been recognized around the world on several fronts. We are no longer the pariah state that is the most corrupt, is the most epidemic prone, is the most this and that. We are beginning to be respected. That means we are becoming a member of the International Committee of Nations. So we have to continue. It takes a lot of effort, it takes collective effort, and that is what I require of all Sierra Leoneans so that we can be, if not more than what we were when we were referred to as the Athens of West Africa.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome.
It's a special edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone, and we just spoke to the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, as he is marking the 3rd anniversary of his presidency. Now we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. To the bell option, press this one with all. And done. And no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for your help we for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.